let me know in the comments. Can you hear me? Otherwise, we're going to get started. Today, we're going to take in a structured wedding dress featuring boning. So we're going to work around some boning today. I'll show you how we manage that. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you are not subscribed. So I wanted to start this live stream out with a couple of tips that are absolutely critical that hopefully all professionals know, but maybe you don't. I've seen some work. I've come behind other professionals and was like, oh, they didn't know this. So let me just state what I think feels obvious, and hopefully it'll help some of you out. So a couple of things. We're working with this very silky, almost shiny, satiny fabric. This is shinier than what we normally see right now. So you can see, the way you can tell that over this video is that it's a little bit higher contrast than if it was like crepe or something. So since it is shiny, particularly since it is shiny, we're not doing this kind of thing, okay? We're gonna approach this dress with our dry, crepey hands. It's a sad fact, but that is a big part of sewing professionally. Our hands get very dry, and we pretty much have to leave them dry until we get home from work. And then we can moisten them up and they won't look quite so aged. But yeah, dry hands are very important. Otherwise, the fingerprints, they will be showing on this fabric. The other thing is I need a fresh needle on this bad boy. If I use a larger or previously used needle, it's going to leave tracks on the side of this dress. And this girl, this is right here, what I'm getting ready to say is so important. I'm so glad you're here today. You've really got some good content coming at you today in what seems like a very basic, repetitive subject matter, okay? This girl has an athletic build. It's so important to understand what that means. When a girl is athletic, or a young woman, I always just say girl. We always said, hey, girl. It doesn't matter if you're 60. Hey, girl, how you doing? You know? So anyways, I say girls. I'm sorry if that offends you. But when they're athletic, what happens is I describe it to them as like, okay, you're running, right? Here's your rib cage. You're running, running. And your rib cage starts to burn, right? We can all relate to that, being forced to run in PE class, even if we're not athletic. That burning is because of this muscular work. You're actually building. So you'll notice when you go to hook a bride into her dress, oh, okay, normally you just hook it together and you can feel the ribs spring together to allow you to hook and zip, and then she relaxes. But you, with an athletic girl, you go, uh, like, what is happening? And you'll also find that when you get them in the dress, they're more likely to complain about the discomfort of the dress right through here, her rib cage, under her bust, but before her waist. She's going to complain about that rib cage constricting there. And what that is, it's because she has more muscle area. So when you're talking about soft fat and tissue, when you squeeze it, stuff can move. It's got freedom, right? The fluid can move. When you go to squeeze muscle, and she's even built up that bone also with the strength training, when you go to squeeze it, it can't move elsewhere. It's much more stiff, and she's much more sensitive to not being able to breathe. So it's very important when you have an athletic bride that you get the fit exact, and go ahead and bank in that it's going to take a few more adjustments to get the fit right for her. And that's okay. That is to be expected. All right. So let me get this positioned for you. Let's see. I'm trying to get you, I want to get you a little closer because we are going to talk about all this boning and stuff today, and I want you to be able to see it. So yeah, first things first, we're going to change this needle. Everyone say hi in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Let me see who's on board today. YouTube only gives me numbers. They don't tell me who's on here, you have to say, hey, how you doing? And then I get to see your name. So I would love to see that. I'm going to start with a 9 ballpoint, okay? This one, I'm definitely going to take the thread up to my face and pre-thread the needle before I put it in the machine. So to do that, you just want to make sure you are approaching from the correct side of the eye. On my machine, that little divot, it faces this way. So I threaded her that way. Get her in there. All right. And get this tightened down. The commercial or industrial machines, they're so different from the home machines, aren't they? We have to actually work with a set screw. Well, I thought I put that in facing the right way, but now I'm struggling. Yeah, so we have to put in, we have to tighten this with a set screw. So we keep a screwdriver right here. And it's okay. I've really gotten used to it. But it's funny, on the home machines, they make it where you just push a button, you know. Gosh, I am struggling to see today. I don't know what the deal is. I'm incrementally turning this about 1/8 of an inch each time I adjust it because I want to make sure it's rotated just right. All right, so this is the way I'm going to get into the dress. She's going to be getting married soon, so I'm going to get rid of these back loops that kind of help hold everything level, because at this point, I'm mostly afraid that they're going to make an appearance on the wedding day. So I'm going to get rid of them. These we're going to temporarily get rid of. Shout out to Justin Alexander for not using black ink on his hang loops. I'm so grateful. That means I get to put these back in. If it was a white hang loop with black ink, they're getting trimmed off and put in the trash. Now this is kind of sad when they do this. Sometimes you can see that shadow. Everything looks light and bright, but look, the back side of the woven labels is whatever color you see in the text, which is not great because that means we've got some black shining through. So when I have my fitting with this bride, I'm going to make sure I don't see that black square. If I see it, it's coming out and it's going to be put in the gown bag, okay? Same thing with these care tags being put right next to the zipper. I take those out and I put them in the gown bag. Some people might cry foul and be like, but now how are they going to know to take care of their dress when they get it cleaned afterward? There's usually a second care label deeper inside the dress, but if there's not, 2 things. One, I don't take this. I put it back in their bag so they do have it to reference. I'm just preventing the zipper from getting caught and breaking on the day. I just think this is not a safe place for this. 2, a cleaning professional really should be able to figure out what fabric this is. It's not saying a lot for your cleaners if they're like, gee, I don't know what this is. Now I can say from a professional sewing shop standpoint, you're going to be worn out if all of your income is coming from sewing. You want to broaden and diversify where your money's coming from. So definitely be open-minded about learning to clean and box gowns for your clients. That in itself, I'm telling you, it could be a business in itself, and you don't even sew. It has been the biggest blessing to my business, and I have a course on it. If you want to learn how to do that, just go to bridalsewing.com. There's all kinds of links there for the different courses that I offer, and most of them, they are certification courses, so you can get your certificate. Darla, if you're on here today, honey, I know you're waiting for yours. I will send it to you. But yeah, you can go and take a course. I tell people, just go ahead and start advertising you're going to do it and make a couple sales. That will pay for the course because you give them like an 8-week lead time before they expect it back. That'll give you time to complete the course, get their dress done, and what they pay in their cleaning should easily cover your materials and your and the course. Seriously, with like 2 cleaning jobs, that's amazing. And I didn't just give a man a fish, right? You teach the man to fish and you feed him for life. That's what's going on with that course. So you could be the local gown cleaner and boxer. It also includes where to get your supplies, where to get the boxes, how to get wholesale rates on those boxes. I have got you. It includes a private Discord community as well. So go to bridalsewing.com, check out how to clean and box. And as you can see, we're just opening this dress up. I'm using a razor. If you want to use a seam ripper, more power to you. I just find this is a little bit easier and safer for me. I don't jab myself as much. Wow, they really sewed this through right here. Oh my goodness. They really sewed this through. I probably need to change my razor out too, because that is giving it a run for its money. Sometimes I'm like, why would they do that? Why would they sew over something 4 and 5 times? I don't get it. Just in that one spot, you know? But whatever. It's our job to deal with it, isn't it? What are some of the other courses that I offer? I have a bustle course. So you can learn all about all the stitches you do for bustling, how you design your bustles, all that good stuff. That's a good one. I have a level up where you learn how to charge more so you're not staying up all night and still not making money. We've got quite a few seamstresses in this community who have broken through that 6-figure mark for bridal sewing. It can be done. It's actually not that complicated. So definitely check that out. I have contracts for sale. You best be getting some signed contracts to protect yourself. All right, so I've reached up through the layers and I'm at the waistline here. And they have that stabilized together. I'm just going to undo that. Keep pulling this apart. And here we are at our side seams. This is a more structured gown from what we see typically lately. It's got this nice canvas inner lining. Hear that? Let me bring this up to my mic. Barb, I'm so glad you love my lives. I love you being here. Let's see, Nancy. Hey, finally get to watch a live. Oh goodness, working on a zipper replacement on a silk dress as you talk. Oh, blessings to you. Francis Mitchell. Hello. Done all my sewing jobs now. I'm sitting down to knit for the rest of the day. Good for you. Get you a nice warm coffee or hot tea and knit and just hang out in the chat with your fellow sewing friends. One Way Designs. I use a straight blade as well. It's quicker and easier. Love your channel. Thank you, One Way Designs. I love having you. Greta Asabs. I'm interested in how to create a contract. Well, with my contracts, I actually had it reviewed by an attorney. And when he did it, I discussed it with him. I'm like, okay, you got to charge me good because I'm going to actually resell this. So he made it so all of you can use it. There's a short contract, a long contract, a cleaning contract. So check that out at bridalsewing.com. Download those. Get them reviewed by a local attorney where you live because all laws are different. But I promise you, having it reviewed by an attorney, way cheaper than having the attorney write it up. So hopefully it'll give you a good head start there. Sotritionist, RDN, how cool. That I love how you blended your interests in your name. That's cool. Watching you use a razor is helping me use it better. Yeah, I feel like it almost like boosts your confidence and you see the different ways you can use it. And don't you feel like we're all just looking for someone to give us permission to do certain things, don't you think? I'm one of those. I will hold myself back until somebody looks me in the eye and says, you know what? I give you permission to do this. I think it's going to go great. And then I feel better about it. So I'm here to give you guys permission if you need it. Now, this is not a great thing. We're not happy about seeing this, are we? They have serged off the edges and have bound this together with serging. That was not nice. So we need to undo that and get this more like a formal dress rather than like a ready to wear. This is something you see more in ready to wear than you do in formal dresses. We don't like that. It's a big mess. And they probably just had to do it to prevent the fabric from fraying. So we're not going to get too mad at them, but we have to undo it. This is perfectly fine to do it here, don't you think? It's just when you serge intersections together. Nope, we don't like that, do we? All right, let's undo this. Don't forget, I'm pointing the razor toward the part of fabric that doesn't matter as much. So that means I'm going to be pointing toward the seam allowance rather than toward the lining and tear up the lining. So I'm going to get in under here. And when I'm really trying to make some tracks, I'm going to go that way. We still have to use the razor against good fabric quite often, but we're just minimizing how often. Here's our boning. So they've got it going about 1/4 of an inch away from the waist seam, and they've got it going all the way up to the very edge. This is the very edge right here of the underarm area of the top of the bodice. This right here, if you put these 2 rows of stitches together, that's your understitching that kept it from rolling. So this is the top edge, and they've got it nudged all the way up against it. I'm actually definitely going to shorten that a little bit because we're gonna take this in, we're gonna move this, okay? But I really don't want it that close to the edge. I find that's uncomfortable for brides. So sometimes we get to make these decisions. It's really nice. All right, so I'm gonna peel this away. If I were taking this in super fast, and we're not really taking it in much, if I were to take it in super fast, I technically could leave that, all right? This is not a heavy boning. It's a pretty small dress. And she's got all this canvas structure, so that's good. This is an elastic waist stay. Guys, if you're new to bridal sewing, you're learning so much today just by me talking about everything when I'm taking this dress apart. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. They did cap this very low profile. We call that capping the boning. So those little plastic stays don't come out and stab you. So they did a good job keeping that low profile. But this is an elastic waist stay. So we call it a seat belt. When you get this nice and tense on somebody, you hook it like a bra strap across their back. It really helps pull the dress back to them. Lets them feel more secure. This athletic girl is definitely going to like that because she's going to like some of that trustworthy feeling, some of that structure coming from something elastic rather than something as hard as this canvas dress. Now, this is going to be kind of hard to show you, but I loosened the silicone elastic, we call it, that's running along the top edge of the bodice. And I'm going to really turn it down because when I sew this together, I want the silicone elastic, these 2 pieces that I interrupted the continuous piece here by cutting it, I want them to kind of somewhat join as they go into the seam. So I'm going to duck this one down. They both need to be ducked down so that if I'm coming in about right here with my seam, they're not crossing over the edge of the bodice. They're down in the bodice. So I can tell I need just a little bit more leeway here. I want to talk to you guys about some branding changes that's going to be happening on my channel. I'm loving doing these vertical live streams. And we get super granular with this, right? All right, here we go. Look, the elastic is down here, okay? Even if it doesn't get caught in it, I'm fine with that if it doesn't get caught in the side seam because I can hand sew it later. Let's see. I'm feeling like I'm stepping on some fabric here. All right, let me get this going. My idea is to, you know, because with sewing, we have different genres of sewing. You know, you've got your quilters, you've got people who like to custom dress make, you've got people who do alterations. We've got all these different genres, but then we also have different levels of sewing: beginner, intermediate, advanced, advanced enthusiast, and then pro, okay? Well, let's be honest. Sometimes I've seen some beginners that were also pro, but we won't talk about that today. So we have all these different categories of sewing, and we all, you know, show up to this one channel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my more granular bridal sewing within these vertical live streams. This is where you're going to be wanting to check in with me. And don't forget, it's mostly every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, now to the end of the year. After the first of the year, I will have built up, guys, 60, at least 60 new vertical live streams in that library. So I'm probably just going to go back to like 1 day a week at 1 p.m. Eastern. See how I curved that? This is going to give her a very graceful waist. But I'll keep you guys posted on the vertical live stream schedule after the first of the year. But it's probably going to look like that, okay? And my plan is to put my most advanced sewing technique videos within the vertical live stream, okay? So that's where you're going to be finding those really advanced ones, all right? In my regular long form, that's where you guys are going to still be seeing the videos that you love, where it includes like the story of a bride or some type of challenge I'm doing, some project I'm working on, a more mainstream sewing problem perhaps, okay? You're gonna find those within my long form. That's those longer videos. And then shorts is still just gonna be kind of how I've done in the past. Sometimes I'll answer a sewing question. Sometimes it'll be a funny little sewing lifestyle thing. So I just wanted to explain to you guys the rebrand that you're gonna see coming to my channel and where you can find the different types of content. I think you're gonna like that. All right, so one other thing I want to mention that I'm gonna do for this athletic girl. I took a note that she really needs it brought in about this much, okay? It's about a 1/2 inch, and I wrote greater than or equal to a 1/2 inch. So that means we're not going completely to 1 inch or 3/4, but we're definitely not going to want to be just 1/4 of an inch, all right? And I like to put in these more natural seam lines. The shape, as you can tell, instead of being perfectly straight, we're going to come in a little bit more under the rib, do a little bit of a notch and a little bit of a flow out to get to the skirt. This is a very attractive shape for that seam. If you guys can see that, hope you can see that. Let me know if you can. What I do for these athletic girls, where I am expecting, honestly, to have to adjust this a little bit because they're just so sensitive. We're talking about within 1/8 of an inch, we're going to be moving these seams for these girls. And it's like the princess and the pea, okay? World of difference in how it feels to her. Very valid for these athletic girls. So what I'm gonna do is on this side, I took it in a little bit more. On the other side, I'm gonna take it in a little bit less. And what we're gonna do is when she has her fitting, if I need to let it out a little bit, I only have to do it on one side. If I have to bring it in a little bit, I only have to do it on one side. And in the end, we end up with a dress that's brought in equal amounts on both sides. That is a huge time-saving hack. Please give me a thumbs up for that. Hit that thumbs up. It really helps the video, guys. That is a massive time-saving hack. Athletic girl, you're probably gonna have to adjust it on the fly. And if you do one side a little bit deeper than the other, you only adjust one side to get that perfect fit. And in the end, you end up with symmetrical alterations on each side, all right? Huge, huge help right there. So I hope that saves you some time. Now with her, we still have a couple other appointments. We got to do a hem and a bustle. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what we would do to prepare this in the end, but I'm not going to perfectly finish this off for you today because this is just the start of my project with her. All right, so I'm going to open this up at the bodice for her. That's where she's going to be the most sensitive, right? And then the skirt is just kind of like the silky flowy deal. So I'm going to open this up. I'm being very careful because I'm wanting to make sure I'm just hitting the stitches here. I'm not hitting her dress. And I can tell now that this is just a single layer of stitching. I definitely need to change my razor, guys, definitely. All right, what should I title this live stream? When I go back after it's over, I get to put the title in. What should it be? Tell me in the comments, like 100 golden tips for sewing bridal or something like that. Because I feel like that's kind of what this is. Yeah, we're taking it in, but oh man, it's more about talking about all these little bitty tips that we might forget about, that we maybe forgot to say to someone. Man, this is glued together. Maybe we forgot to mention it to someone, or someone forgot to mention it to you when you were learning. That's really what this video is about. I'm just going to kind of get started at opening this up here, and I'm not going to go all the way down the skirt. That's what I was talking about when I was saying I'm not going to completely finish off this alteration today because we just don't know that it's right. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do this like this, this like this. We're going to sew it together. So when we go to finish it off, remember, I'm going to shorten this a little bit. And I'm just going to sew this just like this. I'm going to lay it in here, sew it, and it's going to be done. I'm not going to do that today because if I go to adjust this, I'll have to move the boning again. So what do I do with this boning when we're mid-process of altering? I stick it in the pocket of her gown bag with her tags and hang loops and everything else. It's going in that pocket, okay? And to be, whoops, sorry, earthquake, to be revisited later. And honestly, with her being athletic, she may have all the structure she needs within her own body and within all the other bones that are in here. She may not even want that boning in the end. So I wouldn't even be guaranteed on that. All right, so I've got this splayed open here, and we're gonna start a little beyond where this is, and I'm gonna tip this up a little bit here, tip this up a little bit here. That way, because this is such wide amount of fabric, I don't want it pulling on the side of the dress. If your dress is pulling there at the waist, it's just because the splay was just too level. We want that splay to almost be like two little wings coming up here. All right, and then we want our line of stitches to line up with the waist seam there. And let me show you that shape I was talking about. See our little wingy dingies, how they come up. And if she were to settle on this fit, I would definitely put a snip right here and right here. You can see it buckling a little bit. This is a lot of fabric to have in your side seams. In fact, she may even ask me to cut some of this out later, and that's okay. All right, so here, I'm not even going to open this up yet because we've got that waist stay in there. We don't want to deal with extra trouble right now when we really honestly feel like there's a 50-50 chance we'll have to adjust this side. So I'm going to sew that together. I just kind of smudged them together. Now, why would I smudge this layer but not the other one? Because the other one is that outer layer we call the shell layer. This is your lining layer, and like, look how like flimsy and lightweight it is. Smudging that together, scrunch, scrunch, it's not going to be a problem. All right, so let's look at this top edge here. I'm just going to open this a little bit, and I'm just going to zhuzh it right there. Okay, I'm not going to go from here to here, go back and flip it, do the understitching. We're not doing that when we're expecting an adjustment. Guys, this is part of what keeps you from staying up till 3 a.m., but yet making hardly any money. It's all of these little tips. They join together to make your sewing life not miserable. All right, so I just did that little bitty bit, and it's going to be so much easier to find the start and end of that with my razor later. If I have to adjust it, I'll just whoop. It'll be very, very easy. So that's how this looks right now. Let's turn this right side out and check it out. See if there's any glaring problems that's going to freak the bride out. I know I've brought it in the amount that I wanted. Oh, I see a problem. It's not a problem for now, but it's definitely a problem we need to fix. And I even talked about it. Look, that's what I was saying I didn't want happen. That silicone elastic coming up over the edge of the bodice. Isn't that ugly? So it's still managed to get caught in there. So later we're going to cut that loose and make sure it's coming down this way. This guy did a good job. This guy just flipped himself up in there. He was not minding his own business, was he? But yeah, we'll correct that so that in the end, we want it shaped kind of how this originally was. We just want it to swoop across. So I'm going to read your comments real quick to catch any questions. Thank you so much for hanging in there this whole time. Don't leave yet, though, because sometimes the questions really, really help. Let's read this. Greta, love you from Ghana. Hi from Ghana. That's amazing. Isn't the world amazing? Like, technology is such a pain sometimes, but it's also fascinating. That's so cool that today I'm teaching somebody in Ghana. Let's see, Stacy Reisner. It's so good to see you, Stacy. That approach makes sense to reach everyone. That's how I feel about it, because if you're a good seamstress, which I believe you guys are, we're constantly trying to nurture these people who are interested in sewing, nurture them up into the more advanced levels of sewing. And we can't do that if we don't reach them. So we've got to reach everybody at whatever the level they're at and bring them in so that this trade, this skill, this craft can continue on, because sewing is so important. And fun fact, sewists and plumbers are some of the most job secure right now with AI technology. Can you imagine how hard it would be to teach an AI to do sewing? They really struggle with manipulating fabrics. And you can imagine too with plumbing, every house has a different layout, different drop rates and stuff depending on the size of the pipe and where it needs to travel. So you need humans for that kind of stuff. So this is a great trade to learn and to pass on. All right. Oh, goodness. Pacoy, is that how you say your name? Pacoy? Panosi? Hello. I love the spelling of your name. Yes, Stacy's beating that drum. Insider tips. Ain't that the truth? That's what makes the difference, huh? Okay, let's see. Stacy Reisner, do you replace the understitching across the top when you take in bust seams under the arm seams? I love that question. Thank you for asking. So I don't always. Sometimes you just have to if it's particularly roly-poly. Sometimes if it's really roly-poly, you even have to just kind of shorten the lining a little bit on the inside like this. I'll put like literally a dart that'll kind of pull down. Although we usually see that more in this area. Sometimes I'll have to put a little seam right inside. I don't cut it. I just like do a little nibble right inside along here to help this roll. And then we also do a contour stitch. But for here, most of the time what I do is I take my hang loop and I'll heat seal the edge. I drop it down a little lower than what the manufacturer usually does. I make the loop face toward the bust. I hold that. I put this under the machine. Again, the silicone would be fixed. And I stitch in the ditch right through here. It stabilizes the fabrics better, in my humble opinion, than just the understitching along the edge. And it really makes your hang loop stabilized as well. Bonus points if you actually hit the boning when you're going through there. That can really just keep everything at attention right there. It's a beautiful way of doing it. Stitching in the ditch, as you guys may or may not know, it's a term that we take from the quilting world. You stitch inside of a seam and you can't see the top stitching that you did. So that's actually my preferred way of finishing that off. And I do have some videos, guys, some of my long form videos that go with this kind of alteration, start to finish, every detail. So definitely check those out. Any other questions? Type them in really, really quick. Otherwise, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to finish off the other side here and have my fitting with my bride. I'm excited to see it on her and see if we can keep her comfortable. Such a challenge, right? If you do have a second, tap that thumbs up button again, not just the emoji, but the like button if you can see it. I know sometimes it's hard to find if you've tapped and cleared the screen, but it helps so much with YouTube pushing these out. Thank you guys for attending today. You're such a blessing as always. Wave. This is my wave emoji for you. Have a wonderful day. Oh, okay, wait. Stacy says, I interviewed with the bridal salon. In my test, I did not do the understitching and I did not get the job. Wow. Well, they were snooty, huh? Sometimes the bridal salons don't know what's best, just to be frank. They're good at selling. Their job is buying the right stuff and selling it. So it's not necessarily their job to care about if you do understitching or stitch in the ditch. They should care about the final results, right? So I'm sorry about that, but maybe you dodged you can't say that word and stay monetized. Maybe you dodged a rotten tomato being hurled at you. Well, you guys take care. We'll see you Monday, okay? Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye.